Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Robert Wagner is an American actor whose career spans more than 7 decades, making him one of Hollywood's most enduring and recognizable stars. Born Robert John Wagner Jr. on February 10, 1930. In Detroit, Michigan, he moved with his family to Los Angeles as a child. It was there that he became captivated by movies and soon pursued a career in acting. Early career Wagner's big break came when he was signed by 20th Century Fox in the late 1940s. Handsome and charming, he was quickly cast in supporting roles before landing leads. His early films included Halls of Montezuma, 1951, With a Song in My Heart, 1952, and Stars and Stripes Forever, 1952. By the mid-1950s, he was a rising matinee idol, appearing in popular movies like Titanic, 1953, and Prince Valiant, 1954. Transition and career highlights. Though initially known for his good looks, Wagner struggled for recognition as a serious actor until A Kiss Before Dying, 1956, where he played against type as a charming sociopath. He went on to work steadily in both film and television. His career flourished on TV in the 1960s and 1970s with roles in It Takes a Thief, 1968 to 1970, opposite Fred Astaire, and Switch, 1975 to 1978. His most iconic television role came in the 1980s as Jonathan Hart in the glamorous crime series Heart to Heart, 1979 to 1984, co-starring Stephanie Powers. The show cemented Wagner's status as a television star and remains a fan favorite. In film, Wagner appeared in The Pink Panther, 1963, Harper, 1966. And later gained a new generation of fans with his comedic turn as number 2 in the Austin Powers films of the 1990s and 2000s. Personal life. Wagner's personal life was often in the public eye. He was famously married to actress Natalie Wood, first from 1957 to 1962, and again from 1972 until her mysterious death in 1981, which has remained the subject of speculation and controversy. He was also married to actress Marion Marshall, 1963 to 1971, with whom he had a daughter, Katie. Since 1990, he has been married to actress Jill St. John, with whom he shares a long and stable partnership. Legacy. Robert Wagner's legacy is one of longevity and adaptability. From studio system matinee idol to television icon and later a beloved character actor, he has remained a familiar presence in Hollywood across multiple generations. His suave charm, good looks, and ability to reinvent himself have kept him in the public eye for more than 70 years. Despite controversies surrounding Natalie Wood's death, his career achievements and enduring star power have secured his place in American entertainment history. Early life and entry into Hollywood. Robert Wagner grew up in a middle-class family after his father, a traveling salesman, moved the family to Los Angeles. Fascinated by movie stars, Wagner dreamed of becoming an actor. His striking good looks and confidence caught the attention of a talent scout while he was a caddy at a golf course frequented by Hollywood executives. In 1950, he signed with 20th Century Fox, joining the last wave of studio system stars. Rising stardom in film. During the 1950s, Wagner developed into one of Fox's most reliable young stars. With a Song in My Heart, 1952, gave him a breakout role as a soldier, earning him public attention. Titanic, 1953. The Hollywood disaster film, not to be confused with James Cameron's later epic, boosted his profile. Prince Valiant, 1954, showcased him in a colorful adventure. although critics felt he was miscast. By the late 1950s, he sought to escape the pretty boy label. His performance in A Kiss Before Dying, 1956, as a cold-blooded killer was a turning point, showing he could handle darker material. Still, by the early 1960s, his film career slowed as Hollywood changed and new kinds of leading men, like Marlon Brando, Paul Newman, and Steve McQueen, dominated the scene. Television success and reinvention. Wagner successfully transitioned to television, where he found enduring fame. It Takes a Thief, 1968 to 1970. He played Alexander Mundy, a suave cat burglar working for the government. His chemistry with Fred Astaire, playing his father, was a delight for audiences. Switch, 1975 to 1978. Wagner starred with Eddie Albert in a detective series where the duo used con artist tricks to solve crimes. Heart to Heart, 1979 to 1984. Perhaps his most beloved role, Wagner portrayed Jonathan Hart, a wealthy businessman turned amateur sleuth, opposite Stephanie Powers as his glamorous wife, Jennifer. The show epitomized late 1970s, 1980s luxury TV and became a cultural touchstone. Even after his peak television years, Wagner stayed relevant, guest starring on shows like Seinfeld, 2.5 Men, and NCIS, where he played the father of Michael Weatherly's character, Tony DiNozzo. Later film work. Wagner remained active in film as well, with career highlights including The Pink Panther, 1963, he played George Litton in Blake Edwards' classic comedy Harper, 1966, a taut detective film with Paul Newman. Austin Powers series, 1997 to 2002, as number 2, the eye-patch-wearing henchman to Dr. Evil. Wagner won over a new generation with his comedic timing. Personal life and the Natalie Wood tragedy. Wagner's personal life is inseparable from his public identity, especially his relationship with actress Natalie Wood. Married in 1957, divorced in 1962, then remarried in 1972, theirs was a passionate and often tumultuous relationship. They had a daughter together, Courtney Wagner, born in 1974. In 1981, Wood drowned near Santa Catalina Island while on a yacht with Wagner, actor Christopher Walken, and the boat's captain, Dennis Davern. Her death was originally ruled an accident, but lingering questions about the circumstances fueled decades of speculation. In 2011, the case was reopened, and in 2018 Wagner was named a person of interest, though no charges were ever filed. Wagner has consistently denied wrongdoing, maintaining that Wood's death was a tragic accident. Later years and legacy. Robert Wagner has written 2 memoirs, Pieces of My Heart, 2008, which explored his career and personal life. You Must Remember This, 2014, focusing on old Hollywood's golden age and his insider memories. He continues to be admired for his charm, professionalism, and ability to navigate Hollywood's changing landscape. Despite the shadow cast by Natalie Wood's death, his career remains a testament to resilience, reinvention, and longevity. Today, Wagner is celebrated as one of the last surviving stars of Hollywood's classic studio era, a bridge between old glamour and modern celebrity. Relationships and Hollywood connections. Natalie Wood. Wagner's relationship with Natalie Wood is among Hollywood's most famous love stories, marked by passion, glamour, and tragedy. They first met when Natalie was still a teenager and Wagner was already a rising star. Studio publicity often promoted them as the golden couple of Hollywood. Their 1957 marriage was celebrated in magazines as a fairy tale union, though insiders described it as fiery and sometimes volatile. After their divorce in 1962, Wagner had relationships with women like Joan Collins and Tina Sinatra, but he and Wood never lost their connection. When they reunited and remarried in 1972, many saw it as a storybook rekindling of love. Her death in 1981 left Wagner devastated, and he rarely speaks about her without deep emotion. Jill St. John since 1990. Wagner has been married to Jill St. John, a fellow actress best known as a Bond girl in Diamonds Are Forever, 1971. Their marriage has been one of stability and companionship, a sharp contrast to his earlier turbulent years. The couple are often described as deeply supportive of one another, enjoying a quieter, more private life in their later years. Stephanie Powers. Wagner's relationship with his heart-to-heart co-star Stephanie Powers also deserves mention. Though they were never romantically involved, they developed a strong on-screen chemistry and a lasting off-screen friendship. Their dynamic as Jonathan and Jennifer Hart became iconic, embodying idealized love, wealth, and adventure during the 1980s TV era. Powers has often spoken warmly about Wagner, praising his generosity and sense of humor. Reputation in Hollywood. Robert Wagner built a reputation as one of the most professional and reliable actors of his generation. Directors and co-stars frequently commented on his work ethic, punctuality, and charm. He managed to maintain friendships across different Hollywood eras, from the golden studio system of the 1950s to the modern entertainment landscape. His ability to transition from leading man to character actor to elder statesman of Hollywood set him apart. While some of his contemporaries faded into obscurity or resisted television, Wagner embraced new mediums, ensuring his longevity. The shadow of controversy. Despite his career successes, Wagner's name will always be linked to the tragic death of Natalie Wood. The speculation surrounding her drowning has created a dual legacy, one of a beloved actor and another clouded by unanswered questions. The yacht trip on Thanksgiving weekend 1981 included Wagner, Wood, Christopher Walken, and Captain Dennis Davern. Accounts differ about the events leading to Wood's death. Initial investigations ruled her drowning accidental, citing that she may have tried to secure a dinghy that had been banging against the yacht. Over time, conflicting witness statements and public fascination with celebrity scandals kept the story alive. In 2011, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department reopened the case, later naming Wagner a person of interest in 2018. He was never charged, and he maintains his innocence. For many fans, Wagner is both a talented actor and a figure forever tied to one of Hollywood's enduring mysteries. Memoirs and reflections. Wagner's books gave fans a more intimate view of his world. Pieces of My Heart, 2008, candidly described his upbringing, career, and personal relationships. You Must Remember This, 2014, offered nostalgia-driven reflections on the glamour and decline of old Hollywood. Both works cemented his image as someone who had seen it all, from the studio system's golden age to television's dominance and beyond. Cultural impact and legacy. Robert Wagner occupies a unique position in American popular culture. He is one of the last living stars from Hollywood's classic contract era, giving him a bridge-like status between the golden age and today. His roles often embodied suave sophistication, whether as a thief, a millionaire detective, or a comedic villain in Austin Powers. Heart to Heart remains one of the defining shows of the 1980s, remembered for its mix of glamour, romance, and light-hearted mystery. In later years, his appearances on shows like NCIS and his involvement in retrospectives about classic Hollywood made him a kind of elder ambassador for the industry's past. For audiences, Wagner represents an enduring image of Hollywood elegance, resilience, and survival, even as controversy follows him. His career achievements, spanning 7 decades, testify to a remarkable adaptability. Robert Wagner, A Life in Timeline 1930s to 1940s, Childhood and Early Ambitions 1930, February 10, Robert John Wagner Jr. is born in Detroit, Michigan. 1937, his family relocates to Los Angeles, where he grows up in the heart of Hollywood's golden era. As a boy, he is fascinated by the movie industry, frequently watching productions on studio lots. 1950s. Hollywood studio system and breakthrough 1950. Spotted by a talent scout while caddying for actor Clark Gable, Wagner signs with 20th Century Fox, 1951 to 1953. Gains recognition in films like Halls of Montezuma, With a Song in My Heart, and Titanic. 1954. Stars in Prince Valiant, though critics find his performance stiff. 1956. Breaks typecasting with A Kiss Before Dying, playing a calculating killer. 1957. Marries actress Natalie Wood in a much-publicized Hollywood wedding. Late 1950s. Solidifies reputation as a matinee idol, but struggles for more serious roles. 1960s. Career challenges and personal shifts 1960 to 1962. Appears in films like All the Fine Young Cannibals, with Natalie Wood, and The Pink Panther, 1963. 1962. Divorces Natalie Wood after 5 years of marriage. 1963 to 1971. Marries actress Marion Marshall, with whom he has daughter Katie Wagner. Mid-1960s, finds fewer leading film roles as New Hollywood, actors like Newman, McQueen, and Hoffman rise. 1966. Co-stars in Harper with Paul Newman, marking a return to more prominent projects. 1970s. Reinvention on television 1968 to 1970. Stars in It Takes a Thief, Alexander Mundy, winning praise for his suave, witty performance. His co-star Fred Astaire, as his father, becomes a highlight of the series. 1972. Reunites and remarries Natalie Wood. They have daughter Courtney Wagner, b. 1974. 1975 to 1978. Co-stars with Eddie Albert in Switch, continuing his successful TV career. Becomes recognized as a reliable television star, able to transition seamlessly from films. 1980s. Peak fame and tragedy 1979 to 1984. Stars in Heart to Heart with Stephanie Powers, becoming a TV icon as millionaire detective Jonathan Hart. The show epitomizes 1980s glamour. 1981, November 29th. Natalie Wood drowns near Santa Catalina Island during a yacht trip with Wagner, Christopher Walken, and the yacht's captain, Dennis Davern. Her death, originally ruled an accident, shocks Hollywood. Wagner is devastated and withdraws from the public eye for a period. 1980s, late, continues to appear in films and television movies, often reprising his Jonathan Hart role in specials. 1990s. New Generations and Cult Status 1990. Marries actress Jill St. John. The couple remains together into the present. 1990s. Guest stars on popular TV shows, staying visible to audiences. 1997. Achieves cult comedy status as number 2 in Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery, later reprising the role in the sequels, 1999, 2002. His performance introduces him to a younger audience. 2000s to 2010s, Memoirs, Reflection, and Reassessment 2008, publishes Memoir Pieces of My Heart, offering candid stories about his life, loves, and career. 2011, publishes You Must Remember This, recalling Hollywood's golden age with nostalgia. 2011, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department reopens the investigation into Natalie Wood's death, citing new witness statements. 2018, Wagner is named a person of interest in the investigation. He is never charged, but public debate intensifies. 2020s. Elder statesman of Hollywood, Wagner remains active in retrospectives and documentaries about Hollywood history. Appears in interviews reflecting on his friendships with icons like Spencer Tracy, Barbara Stanwyck, with whom he had a long romantic relationship in the 1950s, and David Niven. Lives quietly with Jill St. John. Largely out of the spotlight but still celebrated as one of the last great stars from Hollywood's studio era. Glowing star legacy and cultural standing. Hollywood survivor. Few actors have successfully navigated the transition from the rigid studio system to modern TV and film the way Wagner did. Cultural icon. His roles as Alexander Mundy, It Takes a Thief, Jonathan Hart, Heart to Heart, and Number 2, Austin Powers, span 3 different generations of fans. Controversial figure. His connection to Natalie Wood's mysterious death ensures he will always be a subject of fascination, speculation, and debate. Ambassador of Old Hollywood. Through his memoirs and interviews, Wagner serves as a living link to Hollywood's golden age glamour. Robert Wagner and Barbara Stanwyck, a Hollywood romance. One of the most intriguing chapters of Wagner's early Hollywood life was his relationship with Barbara Stanwyck, the acclaimed actress who was 20 years his senior. They met in the early 1950s when Wagner was a handsome rising star under contract at 20th Century Fox, and Stanwyck was already a respected, Oscar-nominated veteran. Their relationship, though discreet due to the age difference and Hollywood gossip, lasted for 4 years. Wagner described Stanwyck as his great mentor in both life and career. She introduced him to sophistication, discipline, and a deeper appreciation for acting. They never married, but Wagner often called her the love of my life in his later years, even though his marriages to Natalie Wood defined his public image. This relationship helped Wagner mature personally and professionally. It was a mix of romance and mentorship, shaping the charm and refinement he later brought to his roles. Handshake friendships in Hollywood circles. Wagner was known for his ability to maintain friendships across generations of actors. David Niven became one of his closest friends. They shared vacations, social gatherings, and a refined sense of humor. Spencer Tracy was another figure Wagner admired. Wagner often spoke about Tracy's professionalism and quiet authority. Fred Astaire, who played his father in It Takes a Thief, became both a friend and a source of wisdom. Jill St. John, long before they married, was part of his Hollywood circle. Their eventual marriage in 1990 was the culmination of a friendship that lasted decades. These connections gave Wagner a reputation as one of the industry's most sociable and well-liked gentlemen. Someone who could navigate Hollywood's notoriously fickle social scene. TV influence on television. Wagner is often credited with helping elevate television in an era when film actors were hesitant to cross over with It Takes a Thief. He brought movie star glamour and style to the small screen. His Alexander Mundy character was sophisticated, witty, and worldly, setting the tone for later gentleman thief archetypes. Heart to Heart redefined the married couple detective genre. Unlike many TV couples of the time, Jonathan and Jennifer Hart were equals, wealthy, adventurous, and deeply in love. The chemistry between Wagner and Stephanie Powers became the heart of the show. Wagner proved that television could carry the same charisma and glamour as film, inspiring future shows like Remington Steele and even Moonlighting. Face mask crafting the image. The suave gentleman Robert Wagner mastered the art of being a Hollywood gentleman, both on and off screen. His signature traits included a polished sense of style. He was rarely seen without tailored suits or crisp casual wear. A refined, calm speaking voice that lent itself to narration and interviews. A screen persona that balanced charm, humor, and danger, equally convincing as a debonair hero, heart to heart, or as a comedic villain, Austin Powers. In real life, he carried himself with courtesy, wit, and discretion, which helped him endure through scandal and change. Books, memoirs, and reflections. Wagner's memoirs provide invaluable glimpses into Hollywood's past. In Pieces of My Heart, he discussed the pain of losing Natalie Wood, his deep love for Barbara Stanwyck, and his struggles with Hollywood typecasting. In You Must Remember This, he became a guide to Hollywood history, reminiscing about glamorous nightclubs, legendary actors, and the old studio system. The book reads like a love letter to a bygone era. These works help cement his role not just as an actor, but as a storyteller of Hollywood itself. Glowing star, enduring legacy. Robert Wagner's legacy is multi-layered. For classic film fans, he is remembered as one of Fox's young matinee idols of the 1950s. For television fans, he is immortalized as Jonathan Hart, one half of TV's most glamorous crime-solving couple. For modern audiences, he is the unforgettable eye-patch-wearing number 2 from Austin Powers. For historians, he is a living bridge to Hollywood's golden age, with personal memories of icons like Tracy, Stanwyck, Niven, and Astaire. For the public at large, he is a figure of fascination, both admired for his charm and forever linked to the unsolved questions around Natalie Wood's death. The evolution of Robert Wagner's acting style. 1950s. The matinee idol. When Wagner began at 20th Century Fox, he was promoted as the quintessential handsome young leading man. Style: fresh-faced, earnest, and polished. His early roles emphasized charm and physical appeal more than depth. Examples: In With a Song in My Heart, 1952, he played a devoted soldier with wide-eyed sincerity. In Titanic, 1953, he embodied the gallant young hero. Limitation: critics often dismissed him as wooden, noting that the studio system often valued looks over experience. Yet Wagner worked hard to study acting, observing greats like Spencer Tracy and Barbara Stanwyck, which helped him transition later. 1960s. Searching for depth. As Wagner matured, he struggled to shed his pretty boy image. Hollywood itself was shifting, favoring naturalistic performers like Marlon Brando and Paul Newman. Style: Wagner experimented with darker, more complex characters. Examples: A Kiss Before Dying, 1956, shocked audiences by casting him as a sociopathic killer, a radical departure from his wholesome roles. Harper, 1966, showed him as a morally ambiguous figure opposite Paul Newman. Challenge: Though Wagner proved capable of darker roles, the New Hollywood revolution of the 1960s made it harder for traditional studio-bred actors to compete. This pushed him toward television, which became his true reinvention. 1970s. The suave TV star. Television allowed Wagner to fully embrace his natural charm. Style: smooth, witty, sophisticated, more personality-driven than transformative. He excelled in roles where charisma was central. Examples: It Takes a Thief, 1968 to 1970. His Alexander Mundy was a suave gentleman thief, blending mischief with class. Switch, 1975 to 1978, he played off Eddie Albert with easy charm, showing versatility in light drama. Impact: These roles positioned Wagner as one of TV's first true movie stars, making the medium glamorous. 1980s. Icon of glamour. With Heart to Heart, 1979 to 1984, Wagner perfected his most enduring persona, the debonair romantic lead. Style: self-assured, elegant, romantic. His chemistry with Stephanie Powers elevated the series into more than just a mystery show. Jonathan Hart, wealthy, adventurous, but always tender with his wife, Wagner created a fantasy husband figure that millions adored. Cultural significance. He became a symbol of 1980s TV wealth and luxury, embodying aspirational lifestyles in a way that echoed Dynasty and Dallas, but with charm instead of melodrama. 1990s to 2000s. Reinvention through comedy. Wagner once again reinvented himself, this time by embracing self-parody and comedy. Style. He leaned into his suave image but added humor, playing older, exaggerated versions of the characters that made him famous. Examples. Austin Powers series, 1997 to 2002. As number 2, he balanced menace and slapstick, becoming a cult favorite. Guest roles in sitcoms, Seinfeld, 2.5 Men, showcased his comedic timing. Effect. Younger audiences, who had never seen Heart to Heart, came to know him as the eye-patch-wearing villain with perfect comedic delivery. 2010s present. The elder statesman. As one of the last links to Hollywood's golden age, Wagner now embodies the role of storyteller and dignified elder. Style. Warm, reflective, and nostalgic. His appearances are often tied to retrospectives or family-oriented roles. Examples. Recurring on NCIS as Anthony DiNozzo Sr. He played the charming but occasionally irresponsible father of Michael Weatherly's character. Memoirs. His books and interviews showcase his role as a keeper of Hollywood history, rather than just an actor. Person in suit. Levitating. Defining traits of his screen persona across decades, Wagner consistently projected elegance, always impeccably dressed and groomed. From young matinee idol to TV detective. Charm, a refined manner, never threatening, even when playing villains. Romantic presence. His chemistry with leading ladies, Natalie Wood, Stephanie Powers, Jill St. John, reinforced his identity as a lover and gentleman. Adaptability. From melodrama to comedy, he leaned into what the public wanted at each stage. Clapperboard. Why he endured. Unlike some peers, Wagner embraced reinvention. When film roles dried up. Right-pointing arrow. He embraced television. When TV glamour faded. Right-pointing arrow. He pivoted to comedy and nostalgia. When age set in. Right-pointing arrow. He became a living historian of Hollywood. This adaptability, combined with his undeniable charm, explains his 7-decade career and lasting cultural presence. Robert Wagner, a symbol of Hollywood 1950s, the all-American matinee idol. In the early years of his career, Wagner represented the studio system's ideal of the young leading man. Symbolism. Handsome, polished, dependable, the kind of man audiences and studios wanted to root for. Cultural role. He embodied mid-century optimism, the clean-cut soldier or loyal boyfriend. A safe counterpoint to the raw intensity of Brando or Dean. Impact. Though not considered a great actor then, he was a face of Hollywood's golden era youth, appearing on magazine covers and in fan clubs. 1960s, transition in the in-between generation as Hollywood shifted to realism and counterculture. Wagner came to symbolize something different. The transitional star caught between old glamour and new grit. He wasn't as rebellious as Brando or as rugged as McQueen, nor as quirky as Hoffman. Instead, he projected a polished, traditional masculinity that was beginning to fade. Symbolism. He represented the actors who survived not through revolution, but through adaptation. 1970s to 1980s. The gentleman adventurer. With his TV hits, Wagner crafted a new archetype, the sophisticated television hero. Alexander Mundy, It Takes a Thief, the witty cat burglar who worked for the government. Blending roguishness with refinement. Jonathan Hart, Heart to Heart, the ultimate fantasy husband, wealthy, romantic, adventurous, and devoted to his wife. Cultural symbolism. He became the embodiment of aspiration, good looks, glamour, international adventure, and luxury. In Heart to Heart, the relationship with Jennifer Hart symbolized true partnership, a marriage based on equality, romance, and fun. Many viewers saw in them the ideal modern couple, an antidote to troubled real-life marriages. He helped make TV sexy and elegant, elevating the medium during a time when film still looked down on it. 1990s to 2000s. Self-parody and reinvention. Wagner showed remarkable self-awareness in later years by embracing parody of his own suave image. Number 2. Austin Powers, a sly wink at his debonair villain roles. Turning sophistication into comedy gold. His guest spots, Seinfeld, 2.5 Men, reinforced his status as a cultural in-joke, the eternally handsome, impossibly charming gentleman who could laugh at himself. Cultural symbolism. He now represented nostalgia with a twist, the cool older man who wasn't afraid to be ridiculous. For younger generations, Wagner wasn't Jonathan Hart, he was the eye-patch villain with a wink, still stylish but hilarious. 2010's present. Hollywood's living memory in his later years. Wagner has become more than an actor, he is a symbol of continuity with Hollywood's past. Memoirs and interviews position him as a storyteller, someone who knew Spencer Tracy, Barbara Stanwyck, David Niven, Natalie Wood, legends now gone. Roles, e.g., NCIS, cast him as a suave elder statesman, fatherly but still mischievous. Cultural symbolism. He represents Hollywood's survival instinct, an actor who endured, adapted, and stayed relevant long after peers disappeared. He embodies the myth of the gentleman actor, a type nearly extinct today. He also symbolizes Hollywood's darker mysteries, due to the unresolved questions around Natalie Wood's death. His image is thus both glamorous and shadowed, admired and questioned. Person in suit levitating. The Wagner archetype across his career, Robert Wagner consistently projected elegance, a man at ease in tuxedos, yachts, and luxury settings. Romantic devotion. Whether as Jonathan Hart or in his real-life marriages, he became associated with idealized love. Charm with edge, never threatening, but always with a glint of mischief. Adaptability. Able to shift from idol right-pointing arrow antihero right-pointing arrow TV star right-pointing arrow comedic parody right-pointing arrow elder Hollywood statesman. TV cultural impact. Television. Wagner helped prove that TV could be glamorous and star-driven, paving the way for series with stylish leads, Remington Steele, Moonlighting. Pop culture. His Austin Powers role made him a cult figure, parodying the very suave masculinity he embodied for decades. Hollywood lore. His love story and tragedies with Natalie Wood keep him firmly in the public imagination. Ambassador of Old Hollywood. Today, he is one of the last men alive who personally knew and worked with stars of the 1930s to 1950s. Sparkles. In short, Robert Wagner's cultural symbolism evolved from 1950s matinee idol to TV's glamorous adventurer, to 1990s parody icon, and finally to elder Hollywood gentleman and keeper of the past. He is at once a fantasy of elegance, a reminder of old Hollywood, and a figure forever tied to its mysteries. Robert Wagner, the Hollywood survivor. Globe. Surviving the studio era. Wagner started at 20th Century Fox in the last days of the studio contract system. Many of his peers, young men cast more for looks than acting skill, vanished when the system collapsed. Wagner, however, was observant and ambitious. He studied actors like Spencer Tracy, learned discipline from Barbara Stanwyck, and improved his craft. Survival trait. He refused to rely on just his looks. He worked on being versatile, reliable, and easy to work with, traits that kept him employable. film projector from movies to television in the 1960s, Wagner's movie career slowed. Younger, grittier stars like Dustin Hoffman and Jack Nicholson redefined masculinity. Rather than fight the tide, Wagner pivoted to television, a medium many film actors looked down on at the time. It Takes a Thief, 1968-70, proved he could thrive on TV, while Switch, 1975-78, kept him visible. Then Heart to Heart, 1979-84, catapulted him back into stardom, making him a household name across the world. High-voltage survival trait. Wagner understood that television wasn't a step down, but a new path, and he embraced it before others. Heartbreak surviving personal tragedy. The death of Natalie Wood in 1981 threatened to end Wagner's career, if not his life. The tragedy was public, painful, and surrounded by suspicion. Yet Wagner rebuilt himself through work, returning to TV movies, guest roles, and later embracing comedy. His resilience impressed Hollywood insiders, even when scandal clouded him. His professionalism and adaptability kept doors open. High-voltage survival trait. Wagner channeled personal tragedy into survival mode, focusing on work and reinvention. Tears of joy reinvention through humor. In the 1990s, Wagner could have faded into obscurity as that old TV star. Instead, he embraced self-parody. Austin Powers, 1997, turned him into a comedy icon as number 2, suave, ridiculous, and unforgettable. His willingness to laugh at his own past image gave him cultural relevance with younger generations. High-voltage survival trait. He was not precious about his image, he leaned into parody, keeping himself in the pop culture conversation. Books, memoirs, and the role of historian with Pieces of My Heart, 2008, and You Must Remember This, 2014. Wagner became a custodian of Hollywood memory. Audiences and readers valued his first-hand accounts of legends like Tracy, Stanwyck, and Niven. This shifted his identity from aging star to Hollywood statesman. Someone who wasn't just part of the industry but also its chronicler. High-voltage survival trait. He reframed his career as history, making himself valuable as a bridge between eras. Top hat. The image of endurance. Wagner outlasted many peers because he cultivated an image that was elegant but adaptable. He could be serious, romantic, or comedic. Professional. Directors and co-stars consistently praised his reliability. Evergreen. His charm aged well. At 50, he was still a romantic lead on Heart to Heart. At 70, he was a comedy star in Austin Powers, and at 80+ he was still acting on NCIS. Sparkles. Why he survived when others did not. Adaptability. He moved from film right-pointing arrow TV right-pointing arrow comedy right-pointing arrow memoirs seamlessly. Networking. He built lasting friendships in Hollywood, from Stanwyck to Astaire, which helped sustain him. Charm. He kept his public image polished, even through scandal. Reinvention. He embraced self-parody, nostalgia, and elder statesmanship. Luck and timing. He seized opportunities, like Heart to Heart and Austin Powers, that revitalized him just when he risked fading. Glowing star. Final cultural symbolism. Robert Wagner today represents more than just a career. He is a living link to Hollywood's past, one of the last men to have worked with icons of the 1930s to 50s. He is a survivor of scandal, whose life has been shadowed but not destroyed by tragedy. He is a symbol of reinvention, proving that longevity in Hollywood requires flexibility, humility, and resilience. He embodies Hollywood glamour itself, the tuxedo, the yacht, the romance, the elegance, even as time reshaped his image into nostalgia and parody. Robert Wagner, a psychological portrait. Face mask. The surface charm. Wagner's most defining quality has always been charm. It isn't just looks, it's polish, attentiveness, and an ability to make people feel seen. Co-stars often said he could make you feel like you were the only person in the room. This social magnetism became a survival tool in Hollywood. Charm wasn't just a performance, it was a philosophy. Wagner believed relationships, loyalty, and grace were as important as talent. Compass the worldview of a survivor discipline. He learned early, especially under Barbara Stanwyck's influence, that reliability mattered more than brilliance. Wagner showed up prepared, on time, and without drama, traits that gave him decades of work. Adaptability. He didn't cling to being a movie star. He accepted television, comedy, and even parody. His philosophy. Better to bend than break. Image management. Wagner was careful. He cultivated elegance and avoided overexposure. Even in interviews, he spoke warmly of others, rarely courting controversy. Heartbreak. The shadow of loss. The death of Natalie Wood marked a turning point. For Wagner, it was not just grief but a permanent shadow. His memoirs reveal deep survivor's guilt and a constant need to defend his love for her. Psychologically, this tragedy fused his identity with hers, in the public imagination. Robert Wagner can never be separated from Natalie Wood. His survival mechanism was work, keeping busy meant avoiding the abyss. Puzzle piece. Personality traits. Suave exterior, pragmatic core. Wagner projected glamour, but his choices show a practical, calculating streak. He knew when to pivot, when to accept smaller roles, when to laugh at himself. Loyalty. Known for maintaining lifelong friendships, David Niven, Jill St. John, Fred Astaire. He valued his circle deeply, perhaps because stability was rare in Hollywood. Romantic idealist. His public persona, and, arguably, his private self, believed in great love stories. His relationship with Natalie Wood, despite turbulence, became his defining narrative. With Jill St. John, he found a long-term partnership that reinforced this belief. Resilient. Wagner has faced career slumps, personal tragedies, and scandal, yet always managed to reinvent himself without bitterness. Top hat. Wagner's philosophy of survival. From his words and choices, we can distill his outlook. Presence matters more than brilliance. He cultivated presence, charm, polish, style as a steady currency. Loyalty is everything. His memoirs repeatedly stress friendships, mentorships, and bonds as the backbone of his life. Adapt or disappear. Wagner understood Hollywood is ruthless. Survival meant pivoting without ego. Elegance as armor. He believed in looking and carrying himself with dignity, even when the world around him changed. Love defines us. His romantic identity, first with Natalie, then with Jill St. John, gave his public and private life a sense of continuity. Glowing star. The paradox of Robert Wagner. Public image. The eternal gentleman, polished, devoted, glamorous. Private reality. Marked by loss, haunted by scandal, but resilient enough to keep moving. Cultural symbol. He is both Hollywood's dream, the tuxedoed hero, and its nightmare, the unsolved mystery of Natalie Wood. This paradox is why Wagner remains fascinating. He is not just an actor but a mirror of Hollywood itself, alluring, elegant, and haunted. Framed picture. Wagner as archetype. If we strip
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.